In this video, let's take a look at target 44, solving for x, strategies such as rewriting, looking inside, and undoing. When you're doing this, the big idea is that the goal or the purpose is to get that letter alone. So in this problem here, we see the x is inside this parentheses and this squared. It's also having this term where it's being multiplied by 2, and then it's adding 7 over here. Well, when you're solving an equation trying to figure out the answer for x, what you end up doing is you end up using the orders of operations in reverse order. Normally we think of it as PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. But when you solve, you need to get rid of what's added and subtracted first, then what's multiplied, divided, then exponents in parentheses, and so on, and you work backwards up the list. So you're going to see in a lot of these moves, or in solving these, my first move is going to be getting rid of the adding and subtracted term. So here we go. I see that I've got a plus 7. I'm going to get rid of it by minusing 7 on both sides. Then I've got 2 times that stuff in parentheses. Squared equals 32. Well, this stuff isn't really that important yet because it's 2 times it. So to get rid of times it, I can divide by 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Then I get the 2 divided by 2 makes 1. Therefore, those cancel, and I get x minus 1 squared equals 16. Then at this point, I've got squared. And the inverse of squared is square rooting. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, square root this side, square root that side. Now, when you take the square root of something that was squared, there's supposed to be 2 answers. So that leaves us with square root and square root canceling, x minus 1 equals positive and negative 4. The reason why it's positive and negative 4 is because this 2 up here is telling us that we're supposed to be getting 2 solutions. Then I add 1 to both sides. So add 1, and that basically turns into 1 plus and minus 4. And 1 plus 4 is 5, 1 minus 4 is negative 3, and those are the 2 answers for x. X equals both of those solutions. Now I can check this, you guys. This is a really important step. Take the number, plug it in, see if it works. So if I take the 5, plug it in, 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 plus 7 is 39. And the 5 checks. The negative 3, you can do the same thing. You end up with negative 4 here, and then negative 4 squared is 16, 32, 39, and the negative 3 also checks. You can guarantee yourself correct answers if you just take a moment to check them back in. This one is set up with a 7 times all this stuff in parentheses. There is a minus 3 right there, but that minus 3 is trapped. It's inside the parentheses, so you can't get rid of that yet. Parentheses is way up the list, so we can't do that. Even though, yes, there is adding and subtracting, the multiplying is what's being done to this parentheses. Divide all this side by 7, divide all this side by 7. Those 7s make a 1 or reduce, and I get m plus 1 minus 3 equals 3. Then add 3 to both sides. And now we have square root of m plus 1 equals 6. And now we're going to square both sides. Because we have a square root, to get rid of it we need to square. So I get m plus 1 equals 36. Subtract 1, m equals 35. Again, you can check that answer. 35 goes in here. 35 plus 1 is 36. Square root of it is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. This guy down here is a fraction buster question. Fraction busters are all about getting the same number in the denominator. This one is already over 6, so I like that. I want to make this one over 6 and make this one over 6. In order to do that, then, what I'll have to do is figure out the number that I need to multiply by. So what I'm going to take this 2 on the bottom, times it by 3, then I have to multiply the top by 3. Take this times 2, take this times 2, and I end up with 3x over 6 plus 2x over 6 equals 5x plus 2 all over 6. As soon as we have everything over 6, that stuff cancels, goodbye, and I'm just left with this top part, which is 3x plus 2x equals 5x plus 2, so this side is basically just 5x. The other side is 5x plus 2. Now when this happens, this doesn't happen a lot in many problems, but it's something to be aware of, that now I'm going to bring all the x terms over here by minusing 5x. When that happens, I end up with 0 equals, this would be 0 and this would be 2. When does 0 equal 2? Never. Therefore, it is no solution. Okay, so sometimes that might happen. You'll get a no solution situation. And then this one is a lot of the same kind of stuff. What you're going to do on this one is you're going to add 7 to both sides. Then you'd have 4x plus 2 over 2 equals 15. Now all of this is being divided by 2, so multiply by 2. And you'd have 4x plus 2 equals 30. Then you can subtract 2 and divide by 4. Subtract 2 gets me to 28. Divide by 4 gives me 7. So 7 is the answer. And I can take that 7 and plug it in. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 2 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. Negative 7 plus 15 is 8, and it does work. So you just want to be following your orders of operations and using we've called them rewriting, looking inside, and undoing.